Hello everyone, my name is Colleen Thorburn and I'm the principal harpist with the Eastern Connecticut Symphony Orchestra. I'm so excited to share some harp music with you today and let you meet some of my harps. This harp is a concert grand pedal harp. It's the largest type of harp and it's the kind that we play in the orchestra. It has 47 strings and 7-foot pedals. It also weighs about 80 pounds. The strings at the bottom of the harp are thick and made of wire and very long. They are low in pitch. The strings at the top of the harp are thin and short and high in pitch. All of the harp strings are basically like the white keys on a piano, and we have almost the same range as a piano does from high to low. We're just missing 2 white keys at the bottom and 3 white keys at the top. This is where the pedals come in. We'll explore this more in depth later in this video, but you can think of the foot pedals as being the sharps and flats or the black keys on a piano, since we don't have any strings that sound like our black keys. Right now, if I play from this red C string up to the next red C string, what I am playing is a C major scale starting on middle C. The strings are anchored in the soundboard and at the top of the harp in the neck to a tuning peg. And to tune each string, I use this tuning key to either loosen or tighten the string, which changes its pitch. How many of you have been to an ECSO concert before? Maybe you've seen and heard the harp there, or maybe you haven't. The harp doesn't play in every piece the orchestra plays, but when it does, you know it's a special, magical moment. I'd like to play one of those moments for you. This is the harp solo before Waltz of the Flowers from Tchaikovsky's ballet, The Nutcracker. Another place you may have heard the harp before is at a wedding. This next selection is from Canon in D by Pachelbel, and it is probably the most requested and most played piece for harp. This is a lever harp. As you can see, it's quite a bit smaller than a concert grand pedal harp. Instead of foot pedals, it has levers at the top of each string along the harp's neck, which change the pitch of the string. This particular lever harp is not a folk instrument, but many folk harps, Irish harps, Celtic harps, Paraguayan harps, also have levers. The harp as an instrument is actually one of the oldest instruments in the world. Remnants of harps from 2500 BC have been found in archaeological dig sites in the Middle East. In recognition of some of the wonderful folk music written for the harp throughout its history, I'd like to play Brian Boru's march on this lever harp for you. Brian Boru was a famous Irish king in the Middle Ages, and this tune is something you might recognize. I myself first encountered it in music class in the 3rd grade on the recorder. So what exactly do the pedals do and how do they work? The pedals, which you play with your feet, are connected to rods that go up the column of the harp. And when you press a pedal down or release a pedal, it triggers a mechanism in the neck of the instrument and moves the discs that are at the top of each string. Each string has 2 discs. One of them is called the natural disc, that's the top one, and then the sharp disc is the one below that. Right now, I've set all of my pedals in the middle notch. There are 3 possible notches. The middle one is the natural notch. This makes us able to play a C major scale like we did before. Let's say we want to play an F major scale, which needs a B flat. I would need to move my B pedal to the flat position, up 1, and now all of the B strings, the disc has released, the natural disc has released, and is no longer tightening the string, and I should have B flats instead of B naturals. I can also do the same thing if I want to be able to play in D major. I can move my B pedal back to natural, and then I can move my C and my F pedals to the sharp position at the very bottom. Now, all of my F and C strings have not just a natural disc, but a sharp disc also engaged. This next selection is a jazzy rendition of Over the Rainbow. Enjoy watching my feet fly on the pedal cam. common special effect we create on the harp is the glissando. You can think of a glissando as a fast scale for which we use just one finger, and we slip rapidly up the harp strings or down the harp strings to play them all in quick succession. The glissando I just played is in C major with all the pedals set in natural. You can make the same glissando on a piano keyboard by sliding rapidly up and down the keyboard on just the white keys. The harp, however, is unique because we can set the pedals to sound like whatever pitches we want them to sound like and not just white keys on a piano. For example, if I go back to my C scale, I can change it from sounding like this to sounding different if I get rid of the B and F pitches. Now they are B sharps and F flats, and they sound like C's and E's. Played as a glissando, I get this wonderful wash of color that sounds more like a chord than a scale. And we can do this for any key and any chord on the harp, and even nonsense keys and chords. This next selection is full of glissandos. It's from a piece many of my students like to play because it's such a good workout for glissandos. This is Great Day by Nancy Gustafson. In addition to glissandos, we have other extended techniques that are signature harp sounds. One of those is the harmonic. That's what happens when we cut a string in half, not with scissors, but with our finger or another part of our hand, and we make it sound like it's an octave higher than it really is. Here's this G string, played as a harmonic, it sounds an octave higher. In fact, there are all sorts of pitches that are possible along the length of just one string. I can sample many more of those by using a metal tuning key. This is a tuning key that's used for folk harps, not this harp, but it does make fantastic sounds. This next song is a favorite for a lot of children. It's based on a Japanese haiku. The text is "A stray cat asleep on the roof in the spring rain." It's by Suzanne McDonald, who was a famous harp professor at Indiana University. You'll hear the rain falling in the left hand, and you'll hear the cat crying with the metal tuning key in my right hand. probably have many more questions about the harp. Some of the questions people frequently ask me are, how do you start harp? Isn't it hard to move it around? Is it really expensive? I'll try to answer those questions briefly. I was 11 when I started playing the harp. I took private lessons all through high school and decided I wanted to be a music major. But that's only part of the story. I also played piano since I was 6 and continued to play piano until I got to college. I decided to major in harp in college and pursue a career as a harpist because there's so many neat things you can do with the harp. You're not just a solo instrument, you're not just an orchestra instrument, you're not just a gigging instrument at weddings or as background music, but you can do pretty much anything you dream of with the harp, and it can play so many different types of musical styles. How do you move the harp? I have a cart that the harp fits on that's specifically made for the harp. So I cover it up, I strap it into its cart. I can even go up and down stairs with the harp on its cart. And then to take it places, I put it in the bed of an SUV. So yes, you do need a larger car if you're going to play and transport a harp. And aren't harps expensive? This particular harp is worth about $20,000. But most people don't start with harps like this. There are smaller harps, like the lever harp you met earlier in this video, and those are much more affordable and come in all sorts of different sizes. And they also give students a chance to pursue real folk music and not just classical music with a pedal harp. So you can really go whatever direction you want to once you've got your hands on a smaller harp and started to learn a little bit of the technique and some pieces. I hope you've enjoyed our time together today. I'd like to close with a familiar song, or what I hope is a familiar song, that I think sounds great on the harp.